Okay. Hey, Christine.
Hello. Hi, Elle. So good to connect
Uh,
with you.
yes,
Yeah,
thanks
thank
for
you.
reaching out to me. And I'm interested to hear about the work that you're doing, the healing work that you're doing within the ex-Jehovah's Witness community. And just, I guess, as just humans, and going through all the different sorts of, what do I call them, like problems, dilemmas, you know, And you were talking to me the other day about how some of these things and these traumas that we've gone through, they can end up showing up in our body and how our body can tell us a lot. So I would love to hear from you about
Yeah, very good.
the modality
I'll
of
share just a little bit about my background first, just in case there's those watching that are not familiar with me or haven't met me before. So born in third generation, and my mom was disfellowshipped when she was pregnant with me. And so we were in and out. And then when I was 9, grandma, who was the first one to go in, was like, you got to put the girls in, me and my sister. And so we had an elderly couple from the congregation pick us up for meetings from 9 until at 13. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And so I'm crying, putting on my makeup for the meeting. And my sister, she said, why don't you ask mom if we don't have to go anymore? And so I did. And my mom said, okay, no problem. And
night.
so lucky, honestly. My mom worked a lot. And so she wasn't even going to meetings anyways. And so I guess, a little bit of a unique situation. And then my grandma and an aunt and an uncle and their families, so two different ones, are still in actually. My grandma just passed 2 years ago now, but it's always been that, the elephant on the wall, or I don't know what that
In the
phrase is,
room,
but
the
yeah, in
fly
the
on the
room.
wall and the elephant in the room.
Yeah, whenever we get together for events or just, when messages are sent back and forth, we do have a family chat app, like through my grandma's funeral stuff. But it's, there's just this feeling of not being good enough or condescending little messages under, of in order to be good or worthy, you have to be still in the religion. And it's just like half of our family are out and we're like, nope, we don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And so after the religion, so leaving at 13, then I went to a Catholic high school because I knew I needed a little bit more discipline. I was bagging classes and stuff like that. And then after that, married and divorced into a Baptist family, and then non-denominational churches, and then a lot of partying, and all that goes with that. And then spirituality. In February of 2020, I went to my first Reiki session, and my cousin gave me crystals and a deck of oracle cards, and I was like, oh, we're not allowed to have these. Still programmed, right? And so
Face down, girl.
I'm like, what are you trying to do, cuz? And so I went to that Reiki session and I was like scared out of my mind because I didn't know what was going to happen and all of that, but I came out of it alive and it wasn't
How old were
weird.
you?
I was, that was only 4 years ago. I was 45.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so just in that session, she said, you have an Indian guide. It's this man, and he's just flowing and his arms wide open and like a river of love flowing to you. And I was like, a guide? I'd never heard those things before. So it's been a really fast dive into spirituality, I guess. Not new age in the sense, because I find even in the spiritual community, there's a lot of cultiness that goes with it. And so I just really just connect to God, like directly. I mean, and don't feel we need all the extra like things you have to do. It's like, this feels like the religion again. So,
You got a
um,
direct connection.
yeah. And during that time, I found a medium who just by accident, through I was asking about nightmares my little niece was having, and I was helping raise her at the time. And so this lady had really beautiful things to say to help me. And so I clicked on her profile, and she lived in the city, same city as me. So I said, let's go for coffee. And then I realized she's a medium, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm not allowed to go to a medium or talk to one. Still so heavily
Oh,
programmed at age 45. And so I thought, I'm going to go anyways. And we had the most beautiful conversation. I cried about 3 times, but I left there feeling elated. And I think what she did is she gave me permission to believe what I wanted to believe and not based on what someone else had told me. And so that's been, my fun and adventure the last 4 years is really learning, like, what do I believe? What does feel good to me?
right.
And I learned some quantum healing from her, 2 levels. And again, a little bit leery because I'm like, I don't know, this is the spirit realm. And then what really stood out was she asked if I would be part of a group of women who were basically praying for a woman who had really bad arthritis. And the lady was in a lot of pain. So the 5 of us every day around the same time, we would just go into like a meditation for her. That's what quantum healing really is really going into prayer and just imagining that person in front of you
Yeah,
and
I'm into
sending
that
them
too.
love. What's that?
Yes. I said I'm into that too.
Yeah, yeah, awesome.
I'll tell you my little story after you tell your little story.
Okay, cool. So what really opened my eyes and more belief of like, okay, this isn't just frou-frou or what people say was after about 5 days, the lady messaged us and she said, wow, you guys are angels. Like, thank you so much. Cause I guess she couldn't text holding her phone, like with her fingers. And so she wrote us a message saying, because of you, I am able to text you from my phone right now. And I started to cry because I was like, oh my gosh, can you imagine not having like the use of your thumbs or being able to hold your phone? Like, look how fast we text. I have goosebumps right now, like
You
just,
too.
yeah. And so I was like, oh my goodness, there's something here. Like, this is really real. We just totally impacted that lady's life.
Mhm.
And I don't even know her. I know her name and what she had. That was it. And I thought, okay, there's something here. So I was like, okay, God, I don't know what this is, but I'm willing to learn. And so I just became a sponge and I talked to a whole bunch of people who did energy work or, those who knew. I really appreciated those who had a religious background and kind of how they got over the fear. And I went into a year spiritual program, really just teaching me just different things. And I really worked through my fear that year because, they would talk about spirits and your spirit guides. And I'm, crapping my pants because I'm like, if I see something, I'm going to lose it. Like,
I'm
I'm going to
out.
freak out. Yeah. So I feel God, has given me the grace in the sense of like, I don't see people in that sense because of all of that programming, but I feel and I sense and I'm able to read the energetic, the biofield, which is science
Okay.
of someone else. Yeah. So that's kind of been my path into what I do now. But so funny because I was finished with this part. I used to tell people, I'm like, don't go see a medium. Like, we don't know what they're, and I still think there has to be some discernment when you are connecting with someone who can read energies, making sure that they're doing their work as well. But it's so fascinating. What a turn of events. Like, I'm
Great.
totally doing the opposite of what my family, how I was raised. And actually, when I had my birth chart done, this is going to freak you out. In my birth chart, I see where this is like astrology. I'm to go against my family, like the house with the family is where I have Chiron and such. And this is what I've learned now. But when I had my first birth chart reading again in 2020, I was so brave in 2020. I had my
Okay.
birth chart read and I was still a little bit
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to have this done. But
Okay.
she says to me, she says, at age 9, did you and your mom go into religion or something about religion? And I was like, shut up. That did not happen. She's like, yeah, it's in your chart. I'm like, yeah, I had to go into the Jehovah, like I had to actually go to meetings full time from age 9. And I was just blown away. I was like, that's in my birth chart. Like,
We're
I don't know
supposed
if we have soul contracts and we choose our lives, the things that we're supposed to grow through here, but I was like, I chose that. And
but
so,
if you didn't go through that, then you couldn't be here. So how cool.
yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
think from that point, knowing it was in my charter that someone who didn't know anything about my past, I never told her about I rarely spoke about anything to do with Jehovah's Witnesses because I was so angry still that it divided my family that if I saw them on the street, I would cross because I was so pissed still. I was like, don't even try to, to talk to me about it. And yeah, it was just so fascinating how that was in the chart. But again, I feel it gave me permission to look at, okay, then if that was supposed to be in my chart, why did I go through that? Why would I put that in there? Or why did the universe, allow for that to happen? And I started to look for the golden nuggets, actually, of what I did learn from that time. And we're all amazing teachers. We can talk to anyone. We
Yeah.
can talk about weird things that no one else wants to talk about, all of
Be
those
totally
things.
confident about it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so there are so many golden nuggets, and I'm forever grateful for Rodney's group and his boot camp. And that was Michael H. I don't know how to say his last name, but he's the one who introduced me to the group through a medium friend of his that I connected with on another platform. It was just like all this, roundabout stuff. And holy, I didn't realize how much of the organization and the mind control was in my subconscious and still affecting me like 30 years later. And so I've just been so blown away at the amount of, I guess, just like unconscious patterns or things that have been coming up over and over. I am so deeply moved when someone is shunned by with anything. Like, doesn't even have to do with religion, but even through this whole vaccine. I don't want to say the word in case it's cut off of YouTube, but like everything that's been happening since 2020 and the division in families and all of that, I'm like, okay, no, this, I know what shunning is like. I feel, in a sense, having been born out of wedlock in the organizations, I feel like I say this as a joke, but I've been shunned since birth, or being in the womb. And it's like, I'm just so sensitive to it now. And it's like, no, division does not help anyone. That's not God's love, religion or no religion. That's not acting from a place of love. So yeah, that's, a little snippet of my story. And um, tell me though, I want to hear what your experience
Hey.
has been with healing,
Okay,
quantum healing.
we could all write books, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll just go back. So from infancy, that's when a lady came to my mom's door and my mom started studying the Bible with her. So that's how that kind of went down. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna try to condense it, okay? But it was basically like my dad, they're married. My dad was like not having it, but my mom was all in. And I think that had a lot to do with her life being totally out of control. That I think the witnesses really gave her that sense of community and that sense of control, which was
Yeah.
amazing for her at that time. She ended up passing away in 2007. She had a blood
Mhm.
disorder that she refused a blood transfusion, and so she passed away. So, and then when I was 16, I was disfellowshipped. I had a stepdad that was sexually abusing me. And because of that, because I had talked to him after the abuse, they basically labeled me as like a willing participant as a 16-year-old virgin, right? And
Wow.
so because of that, I was disfellowshipped. So I spent that time from the time I was 16 until geez, I think it was like 26 years of me being out in the world, kind of back and forth. Sometimes I'd want to go to meetings. I wanted to get my life together. I wanted to do things right by my mom, but then at the same time, it's like, I can't do this.
Mm.
Why can I not do this right? It was very frustrating. And so it was in 2019 that I fully woke up after many years of like, after being abused, like just abusing myself,
Right.
like having toxic relationships one after the other, three baby daddies, five kids. My twins were adopted at birth because I was in a really, really bad spot. So it was just like one hot mess situation after the other. I went through drug addiction and treatment, and all the while, the counseling and therapy and all of that stuff. But in
Mm,
2019, yeah, I woke up, and almost right after I woke up, I was like, I want to find my person. Like, I really want to do this. I really want to find the person. I was always longing for that, but it's like I couldn't figure out how to do it. And so when I left, I had to build up my confidence in myself and put myself out there. And so when I
mhm.
met my boyfriend now, I was halfway healed. I mean, I think we're never fully healed anyway, but I was kind of like, I was on my way, but not quite. And I had some time off from work, and I was listening to this podcast, and I realized that the lady that had this podcast was also friends with these other people that I was already listening to that were, I didn't realize what life coaching was, but it was like, oh, wait, this and then that. And like I put the connection together. And I was just like, this is it. Like it just explained it so much because it's like what we're thinking creates a feeling. And when we have that feeling, it causes us to do a lot of things, that all the things that we do, right? Or the things are, what are we not doing when we're feeling that way? And basically, all those actions we take in our life, it creates the life that we're living right now. And it was just like, it was explained in such a way that was like so simple, so easy
Mm,
to understand. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And I thought, if I'm going to invest this money, I'm just going to think of it like I'm going to put this investment into myself and my own healing. And then if I can help other people, that'd be cool, right?
right.
And so I went to school at the life coach school, and I learned so much, and
Mm,
everything freaking changed, like everything. The relationship with my kids, the relationship with my boyfriend, that I was like, I finally found my person, but it's like, how do I even hold on to this person? I've never had a successful relationship. How do I get rid of like this past thinking and trauma that's happened? How can I
mm,
overcome it? Like everything changed. I started making more money at my job. I mean, just everything. And so,
amazing.
so I decided, I think it was 2022, I decided that I wanted to take the healing even deeper. And I told my boyfriend, like, I love you so much, and I've never done this before, but I want to move out. Like we had moved in together, and I said, I really need to take this time for myself to really go all in on me. So I put my ass in therapy again. I put myself in group therapy. I went all in on my coaching. It was
Wow.
just like full, just all in. And so after that, in October of just 2023, I took over my friend's group after I was certified. I'm like, I really want to have a Facebook group. I think that'd be so cool. And she's like, Elle, why don't you just take this group? There's only like 16 people in there. It is a healing group. I mean, that's how she and I had connected again.
Mm,
So it's like, okay, I'll do that. And so that's when that started. And I actually found Rodney after that. I did this big old post, my first one ever, because I had always been pretty silent on Facebook, but I was, after I had two friends of mine pass away that were Jehovah's Witnesses, they had medicated through, drug addiction and over drinking. And
mm,
I lost two friends in 2 years that were really close to me, like brothers. And I was like, F that. I just realized
mm,
that the governing body, they still had my voice because I wasn't being open and authentic and saying like, I was just kind of pretending, I'm faded, right? And it was that post I put, I was just like, this is what happened to me. Like, I'm so sick of people dying from this religion, and I
wow.
had to use my voice. And so that's how that all started, which sort of started like almost a revolution in me of like, I do have so much power with my voice, and I do have the skills as a certified life coach. And not only that, but I have all these past experiences that I've been
Amazing.
through. I can just relate to people and like, I get you, girl. Like, I get you, It is so awesome. And I just want to be a life coach that is an example of what is possible. You can go through sexual abuse, one bad relationship after another. It's like all of these things you can go through. And where are we going?
Yeah.
Like all of these things are still possible for me. So sometimes I'll meet people that are a little bit older and they're like, I don't know, I don't think it's possible for me. I don't know, it's too late, it's too late. It's like you're gonna live your life anyway, and all these things are gonna happen anyway. Like, why not be open to like maybe this could help you? Maybe it could, because
Mhm.
once we change our thinking, like you're saying, like this quantum healing, the science behind it is fascinating. And when I realized that my thoughts are completely optional, I can decide what I want to think. And when I
Yeah.
decide what I want to think, my whole life changed. So
Mhm.
that's my story. That's
Mm.
what I do. So now I am a life coach dedicated to the ex-Jehovah's Witness community. All of my
Amazing.
clients are only ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. So
That's so
and I
amazing.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the work because, there's having I think I've been around for 3 years now, in ex Jehovah's Witness groups, and before I would, like, honestly, I would have just turned my shoulder and been like, "Hell no," but now I see the power in our community and how we're able to heal from a time that was so deeply hurtful, and to find empowerment in that, right? Like how to turn that stuff around so it's not dragging you down. So I love the name of your group. Honestly, when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like a forward moving group, which I feel the Empowered Minds is as well. It's just like, and I want to share this very openly with so much care, as I say this, but I find in the groups there's two kinds of people that are moving through. So it's either those who are still in the organization, or they've maybe are starting to fade and they're deprogramming from the organization and learning, like, is Armageddon real, or all those sorts of things. And that's a great place to be if that's where someone is. And then there are those who have done enough healing or have walked away from the religion, saying, you know what, I have no ties to that, I don't believe in Armageddon, all the stuff that we were taught, like, I felt we were lied to. And so they've been able to detach, and it's almost like they're living a life that, they're not looking back at the organization. They're like, yeah, I went through that thing, and sure, we'll still have stuff that we're healing as we grow, but that's what I kind of see in the groups. There's those two kind of groups, or distinct groups of
Yeah.
people that are in, and yeah, I think, once you are able to go through the stages of healing and deprogramming from the religion, then the next part is like, okay, what's next? What do I get to learn? What have I
Yeah.
always wanted to learn? Or I've always wanted to take, a poetry class or pottery, or, whatever it is that, move forward and live a life that you don't have regrets from. That feels so good and juicy because now you've given yourself permission to take the reins and saying, okay, what do I really want to do? You always want to have gone somewhere? Go. You always wanted to take something in school? Join, no matter your age, because you're the one that gets to put your head down on the pillow going, yeah, you know what? I did that. I got to do that. Or I made the changes, and for yourself to feel so good inside.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. It's amazing the possibilities, and just thinking about, oh, what is possible for me? I
Hmm.
like to say that the last half of my life will be the best half, because what I want to do is be like right here, right now. And instead of living here in the past and like being there, living in those thoughts in the past, moving
Yeah.
forward and realizing that there's so much life to live, and we are
Hmm.
all so worthy. Being worthy is not really a choice that we get to make. It's not
Right.
a decision. it just is. So just knowing that and starting at that level, like I am worthy, you know,
Mhm.
and now what? And just exploring the possibilities of what could happen. Why not?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I heard a quote during the so I had a really major depression in 2018, 2019, suicide ideation. I was just like, what is this life? This struggle is way too hard. I now know looking back, it's really a spiritual awakening or a dark night of the soul.
Mhm.
And it was my depression was a success. I was so
Good.
low and it pushed me up into something better because I was like, no, I need to make a change. Like this life just sucks the way it is. And so I had a mindset class that I found, and he was explaining the teacher that you can only hold one thought at a time. I'm like, okay, yeah, I believe that. And it's either empowered or disempowered, but I get to choose. And so I was like, huh, okay, well, I don't necessarily want to feel the heaviness of where I was at that time. So I was like, what can I change that to make myself feel healthy or better in the moment? It's like, okay, I'm safe. I'm safe in this bed. I have clothes, or just even the small things, I like my nail color, whatever it is that can help you to move up and out of the heaviness and the darkness. And so I forget, just went on a
Yeah,
brain
I
fog.
just
I
wanted to
don't
say
even,
that I think that it's sometimes we might think that it's just a fact of life, like, oh, I just have a boring life. This is actually just a fact. Anybody could look and see that. But you give yourself back the power when you think those thoughts are completely optional.
yeah.
There you have an option that you do not have to think that way. Even though you might think this is a fact, anybody looking at my life, they're gonna be like, this is boring. No, it's not. Like, it's your perception of it. And just knowing that you have the power to like look at that thought, like it's a little sentence you're just gonna kind of
Yeah.
lay out there and look, that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Like, why is it that I think that way? And do I want to keep thinking this way? What would happen if I got rid of that thought?
Hmm.
What would your
Yeah.
life look like if that wasn't even there? So I love that we have the power. I
Yeah.
love that.
It's like a different perspective, right? It's like you can believing the one thing of like, I'm in fear or I feel insecure or whatever it is. And you get to say, okay, what if I had the opposite? What if I had courage? What would it look like? And then pick the one that feels better.
Yeah, I love it. See, I
Yeah.
love that you and I like it's so cool. Like I love all the different coaching that people do. We got the business coaches, we got the motivational coaches, we got the spiritual coach. I don't know if you call me like a thought work coach, but it's so cool how it's like it all goes down. It's all this science of like the subconscious, these things that were taught to us and fed to us, and the
Hmm.
beliefs that were so strong, they were so strong, and we thought that it was like, oh, it's just a fact, right? And we could do that same thing because we know that we already have the power to believe all of these things like they're actual truth. So we
Hmm.
already have it, like as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, like that is a part of our amazing, a part of our personality that we can be a little bit delusional. So why not be delusional over here, right? I love that.
Yeah. And so one of the quotes that I heard during that time was, you had a 1 in 400,000 chance of that sperm hitting the egg for you to be here. So it's like, you're meant to be here.
Yeah.
If you weren't, you wouldn't be here. So it's like, okay, well, if that happened, then yeah, why am I here? And I just started to look at things differently and ask different questions that, um, yeah, felt better and better. I mean, life is not perfect all the time. I have my ups and downs. I had another trigger moment a week ago or 2 weeks ago now, and I moved through it. And I was like, okay,
And you
things will
can now.
continue to come up.
Yeah, because you have the skills now. So that's what I love about coaching. This is what I love is that these skills that we learn, we
Mm,
can, and even with my clients, I'm like, listen, I don't want, I love you. I would love to be your coach for life, but I really want them to learn these things and then you can translate it to every other part of your life.
totally.
When you start making more money and then oh, all of a sudden use those skills to like, oh, and now my relationship's better. And then, it changes everything and those skills can just transcend into every other part of our life. So it's
Mm,
the coolest thing because like once you learn it, you're good and stuff is going to come up. Like even for me, I have my own life coach, but things come up, right? So it's
yep.
not like, oh, we're healed. Everything's going to be, sunshine and roses. It's not, but it's definitely better than not knowing and kind of spinning out in the past of like, why am I thinking this way? Where is this
Mm,
thought coming from? Like, why can't I feel better? It's those deep subconscious thoughts that we can totally change.
right.
I like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Why don't we chat about what are your top two or three favorite tools that you work with clients?
Yeah. My favorite tools. So I use what's called the model. This is my coaching model that I use. So it's basically like we have a circumstance and then we have a thought about that circumstance. That thought creates a feeling in us. From that feeling, we do a lot of different things or don't do things. And that ultimately creates our results. It creates our life that we're living right now. So the circumstance is going to look the same no matter what, but how do you want to think about it? That's where the power is.
Yeah.
So that is my main, I guess you call it modality. That is my main focus, It is thought work and um, just letting people have the possibility of being able to think about things differently. Like, like, do you want to hold on to that thought? Because you can, when people
Right.
say, well, you don't have to forgive. You don't. But how does it make you feel? Do you want to continue to feel that way?
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah, I've had a lot of, bad things happen, I think you would say in my life. Like I'm definitely a survivor, but I
Yeah.
look at it very different. I look at it different now. I look at my past like complete hot mess of a life. I look at that like kind of training, you know. So
Yeah. Me.
yeah, and
I
being able
yeah.
to well,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh, and I just said being able to relate to people.
Mm,
I've been there too, like you said, in 2000, did you say 2019
yeah.
that you were feeling really depressed and suicidal? Me too. Like I tried to take my life twice. It's
Mm,
I didn't think I was worthy, But and
mm-hmm.
then I didn't kill myself those times, but then I was just killing myself slowly every day by not knowing my worthiness and choosing partners that were just, oh my gosh, so toxic.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I chose. And I chose the over drinking. I chose those relationships and for my life to be out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm
Yeah.
just choosing something different. I had to figure
Yeah.
out that I was worth it, first of all.
Right. I'd say for me, my favorite is breath work, always first. Like when you can like walk yourself down out of a panic attack with breath. You're just telling your body that you're safe. And then the opposite is, in the bedroom, you can have fun through breath work as well to move that energy and really, connect into your inner core and who you are. German New Medicine has been a game changer for me. I had started back on my coaching. I started in July 2020. I was a travel agent before, but when the lockdown happened, I didn't have a sale for a year and a half. So I had to find another way to make money. And I'm grateful for the lockdown now because, as hard as that was in the time, I now have a beautiful business that I like way more than selling travel. And so I say I do soul travel now. And German New Medicine has been, I've worked in the emotional body because I think it really does come back to your core belief about yourself. So patterns will come back up. Mine is abandonment, rejection. I don't know my real dad. So that was, a part of me just in my life, what I was here for. And then my ex-husband left. So much rejection and fear of criticism, which, if you get it wrong, you're going to be out of the tribe or out of the
Yeah.
religion or you're going to
It's
die.
only good or bad. It's only right or wrong. There's no
Right.
gray. There's no gray
Yeah.
here. What do you think about meditation? Because that's another thing that I think has completely changed my life. What do you think about that?
I I like it, but I preface in the sense of when I first started to learn, because my body was so much in fight or flight, and I just didn't know. I just thought that's how life was. I hated it. I just saw black. I would think about the groceries, and I was just like, "This, am I even meditating? Like, I don't even know if this is working." Yeah, and I thankfully had a business partner at the time who taught meditation, so she taught me like start with 1 minute and then 2 minutes and then 5 minutes, right? You just work yourself up over a week. You can do that so that your body starts to calm down and learn what it feels like to get out of fight or flight, freeze or fawn. Fawn is the people pleaser. And
I'm so good
what's
at that.
really,
It's it's
yeah,
it's such a
what's
thing.
interesting. What's interesting about meditation is after 5 months of meditating, I all of a sudden I'm at my desk one day and I was doing something I really liked. I was like having a good time and I noticed I was holding my breath, like I wasn't even breathing. And I was like, wow, that's so fascinating that I had calmed myself down enough to even notice that. But we're in our chest breathing, which is anxiety or predator breath. And so the body is just tripped into that old biological pattern and of like being aware, ready to run because there's a tiger. So it's probably something in my field where I didn't feel safe all of a sudden again.
Yeah.
And so meditation has been really helpful. When I would do, I prefer guided meditation, so I don't have to necessarily think because my brain goes 8,000
I
miles a
mean,
minute at
it's
times.
like, let's
Yeah.
direct you this way. Like,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Here we
But when I
go.
in my the early start of that spiritual group and they would do a meditation every night, I would pass out. And then I would just like kind of come to, but it was like I had gone somewhere. I was just like, I don't know what happened, but you're healing while you're, sleeping or in that deep theta meditative state, which is where the subconscious gets reprogrammed. So I really do feel is like, for those maybe who are listening and you're not sure what to do, I like breath work. I think breath work, a guided breath work is to me a little more fun than meditation. But it's just you have to be careful because if you think you have to do something, then your ego is going to fight you and it'll be a trickier time. But you just got to find whatever works for you. It could be a walking meditation. I love qigong, which is, it's cupping on your whole body
I haven't done
because
that.
you're moving your energy. Do you know qigong?
Well, I haven't done it, but I'm interested in trying it.
Oh,
I haven't done it yet, but I'm a big
yeah.
fan of guided meditation. I feel like it's a total shortcut. So I do a guided meditation every night when
Nice.
always, because it's like I could sit there and meditate, but
I
like
know.
you, I'm thinking about other stuff, but I think it's a practice, like you
Yeah.
get better. But when you say, no, you're just going to sit here, you're just going to do this for 5 minutes, it is a little bit torturous at first, but the
Yeah.
guided meditation for me is where it's at. And it's just,
Hmm.
it's reprogramming my subconscious while I sleep. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's a life hack.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
path, definitely. And now I can close my eyes and go into meditation on my own. Basically, I'm just reimagining a story in my mind for myself just to like get into that calm state. But Qigong for beginners is a really good video on YouTube. And oops, sorry, I got cat and dog playing here. Can you please grab the dog? Sorry. Um, they're cousins, I guess, not in a playful mood. So with qigong, what happens is you're cupping over your whole body, like on the outside, which is masculine energy, on the inside, which is feminine. And
Yeah.
as you do that through your whole body, and it's only 15 minutes, you cannot help but feel good because
Yeah.
you've just moved all this delicious energy all over your body, and you can breathe and clear out emotions or clear old crappy situations if you want, just an intention really, or making a decision
Yeah.
is a lot of this work. And yeah, try it and then let me know how you feel. I'll
I
post a
will.
link actually in the group. And then if anyone else wants to try it, and then I'd be so curious after, let me know how you feel. So I could be in like the worst mood and I do Qigong, which is spelled Qigong for beginners is a really good video. And she explains why, and you're moving like chi in Chinese means energy or life force energy. And so, yeah, I'd be curious to see how you feel
I will
after.
try
But
it.
yeah, that's a good one. Um, And this month is in your group is all about self-value. And I thought that would be really good to touch on as well, because I think it comes really down to your core belief of what do you believe about yourself? And
Yes,
that
that's
comes
exactly right.
totally
Yep.
from our past and what is in our subconscious from 0 to 7 or 0 to 12 years old when our
Yeah.
brain's in theta. So if we think that we're lowly or we need to be humble or whatever we learned from the organization, that is in our subconscious. So it's really just taking the your own sincere self-responsibility look at what do I really believe about myself and then changing, if it's I'm to be poor or I'm to, let other people walk all over me or whatever it is, you'll notice by how people treat you is some of that core identity of who you are. And the cool thing is that you can reprogram it or change it.
Yeah, and I think something else cool that I mean I love to think about is our identity, because that's what we're talking about this month, self-identity or your self-image. But we are constantly changing by
Mhm.
nature.
Yeah.
We're getting older every day. So whether we like it or not, our identity is always changing. So
Mhm.
knowing that, it's like, why not make the changes? Why not maybe open up to the possibility of thinking something new, you know?
Mhm.
When we
Yeah.
think something new, it definitely creates our whole life. So,
Mhm. So good. And something else that I learned in the last few years is, there's a difference between self-esteem is what other people think about you and self-worth. So your self-esteem is like, let's say your coworkers are like, man, you're so loyal, or, you're good at explaining things, or we can always count on you, whatever. That's self-esteem, what other people think about you. And for the most part, majority of people have someone that is in their corner usually, or, thinks highly of them. But then the other one, the biggest one, is our self-worth and our own self-value. And if you don't like that or you feel low about yourself or whatever, look at the pattern or the root, I should say. Where did that story come from? So if it's, that you're not good enough or that you are not good at making money, as an example, then be like, where did that story come from? If you can find the root and you can decide to make the change and go, you know what, I'm open to learning how to do XYZ or wherever it is that you're holding on to
yeah.
a lower self-image of yourself. And yeah, that we can rewire. Another fun thing for anyone who is spiritual or believes in a higher power is we won the spirit lottery. Like when our meat body goes, our essence is still here.
Mm,
Energy can't be destroyed or created. So you transform into something else, whatever that is, if people are able to wrap their minds around that part. But yeah, that I
Makes you,
think we
oh,
won the soul lottery,
we totally did.
spirit
It's
lottery.
amazing. Is it so freaking amazing that we're here? This is so cool, right? Being a
Mhm.
human. Can you imagine? Okay, imagine I'm like describing a human like as a gift. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is so freaking amazing. It like
Mhm.
grows on its own. It like
Yeah.
talks. It can like move in all these cool. I mean, can you imagine like literally describing a human? It's so crazy. Like it's so wild. And I think I was going to go back to that idea, this worthiness topic. We don't get to decide that we're there. It's not like we can choose or not. We're worthy. We're here. It's a freaking miracle that we're here. Who knows how we're here? If you believe in God or the universe, it doesn't matter, but you're here. It's an absolute miracle. And then what are we going to do with that miracle? You know,
Mhm.
how is it that we want to live our life? Because we don't get a choice in if we're worthy or not, right? And I
Right.
think some people will think, well, the more that I do, right, as Jehovah's Witnesses, if we just do more, go on more service, go to more meetings, study harder, do all these things, that can build up, that did used to build up our self-esteem.
Mhm.
Because all you have to do to have good self-esteem is like do the thing, just keep doing the thing, do the thing. But when you have that worthiness, it
Yeah.
is just like the base level to everything else. But without the worthiness, you can get to the to the highest of highs, like back in the organization, if somebody was a, a pioneer or, all the things, right? Like they were feeling really good, but at the same time, the self-worth was non-existent,
Yeah.
right? Because we
Mhm.
always felt like we had to do all these things. And we can be on the outside of the religion and still have those like yucky feelings like that. But
Yep.
I just love the fact that you don't get to decide if you're worthy or not. That is not a decision for you. It just is. It's
It
amazing.
just is.
We're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Some really good phrases for that are I am vital, my worth is established, I am, well, you can say I am enough, but there's another one, starts with a P. Uh, I am plenty. That's
Plenty.
what it was. Yeah, I am plenty.
And then we just get to be more once we know that we're worthy, then it's like just inviting in more. Like, okay, what
Mhm.
else? It's like almost like this container sort of opens up, like, okay, I'm worthy. Like, what else?
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
that's good. Um, can I share a couple things with German New Medicine and how to read your own body? Because this actually can tie in really well to self-image.
yes.
So yeah, okay, good. Sorry. I think we have a little bit of a delay. So with your body right now, like if you and I were to have a play fight and you had a sword and a shield in your hand, okay, in your hands, which one would have the sword, your left or your right?
My right.
Right hand? Okay. So majority of people are right-handed. Whatever one has the shield, so the non-dominant hand, the sword is the dominant hand. The non-dominant hand is your mother-child side. And
Okay.
this is the brain relay, and this is just seeing what side your brain relays to. So if someone is left, where the sword would be in the left hand, then this the shield is in the right. Basically, the non-dominant or the shield hand is your mother-child side. So you can start to read your own body. Okay,
Mhm.
Dr. Hammer, through German New Medicine, he studied 100,000 brain scans, and he started to notice if someone had a kidney issue, as an example, it was on the same spot on the brain. So he
Mhm.
started to ask them questions, and he has a whole body map, which is really neat. And so for your non-dominant side, that's your mother-child side. If you never had children, then it would be your mother only, but also fur babies if you have, or someone that you would raise who is like your child. And then on the dominant side, so for you, your right hand dominant, it'll be your right side is partner and everyone else, they call it. And so
Okay.
what that means, it's your dad, it's your partners,
Okay.
your coworkers, it's anyone who cuts you off in the grocery store, cousins, all of everyone else is right side. Business as well, could be issues in your business. And so for yourself, you can read your body now forevermore. Just know non-dominant hand is your mother-child side. Okay, so
That's
if someone has a left shoulder issue and they're right hand dominant, then they're holding on to guilt around not being a good enough daughter or not being a good enough mom, something around self-esteem. If you look at muscles, bones, ligaments, that's all connected to low self-esteem or self-devaluement. But now, this is where the fun part is. 80% of symptoms are a healing phase of the body. That doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong because your shoulder hurts. It can
Mhm.
be that if you've been standing up for yourself, or you've had better boundaries, or you said, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore, or the person dies and they can't hurt you anymore, then your body will begin to rebuild. Think of the animal kingdom, survival of the fittest, strong mind, strong body. So if I have a left shoulder issue and I'm like, well, actually, yeah, I've been standing up for myself more, then my bones will rebuild. Then that pain can be from the rebuilding, or I'm in adaptation to an uncomfortable situation. There's something going on in my environment that I'm to stand up and have better boundaries or do something, make some kind of a change because my body's saying, we got to get out of here. We can't do this anymore. Right.
Yeah.
And so this is a way to read the body. And I'll share with you, if I may, like blood is also connected to self esteem and low self worth. And it just depends on the perspective of the person. So your mom passing from the blood issue, or like with her the blood thing that she had, it may have been either that she just felt really down because life was just really hard, or she was beginning to heal, and then the medical system is like, "There's something wrong here. We need, if we don't do this, then it's fatal or something." There's so many scary things that they share of what people have, and so this is why I think it's really important. If people learn how to read their own body, you can actually assess, do I really need to go see the doctor, or have I been standing up for myself and my body's rebuilding? Here's another one. Skin is a separation conflict. So if anyone has
Okay,
it, who's
so
been,
hey, I wanna I
yeah.
have to stop you.
Okay.
Okay, I want can you tell me, I'm gonna be, like, super vulnerable right now because that's sort of my jam. Okay, I have this sort of, like, sometimes on my right hip, it, like, kind of itches sometimes. It's so weird.
Okay.
What
Is
is
there a
that?
spot?
Tell me? It's like, yeah, right on just on my hip.
Okay.
Sometimes. Like, what is
Yeah.
that? What's my body telling me?
Okay, so itching can be wanting to get away from something or someone. The hip, this is where it's important of like where it is too. So the hip is this burden is too great. So it can be connected to that. Skin is a separation conflict. So either wanting to be separated from someone, having been separated, or you have a fear of being separated. And
Oh,
then with hips, like the hips don't lie. So this isn't necessarily for you in particular, but I'm going to say this just for the video for anyone who's watching. This
okay.
is where you get to see what's your perspective of what's going on in your environment, with things I've shared so far. But often a lot of people have hip issues because you're not intimate enough with your partner.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah.
so we need more intimacy?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
easy.
Yeah. And also a thought of like, and you can put your hand on it and ask it, what are you here from?
What are you trying to tell me? Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be that, so the skin basic or the whole body anyways is listening to the psyche and what you're ruminating on, but usually unconsciously. And so um if you put your hand on it in a meditation or whatever, and start speaking to your body and say like, what's your message, right? And so it can be that the body felt like it needed to protect you and build up that extra skin, or pay attention to what you're thinking about when it happens and
Yeah.
what's there, and even just talk to it like, okay, thank you, I'm not really sure what the message is, but like, I'm good, you can go now.
Yeah.
Because you're feeling like, no, I feel pretty strong in my environment so far.
You
So
know
it's
when
really
it
just,
happens to me, Christine? It happens to me when I go to my day job. I notice myself, I'm like, "It feels, like, kinda itchy." I'm like, "This is weird."
yeah. So
My
hips
day
also
job.
can be wanting to move forward, and the
Yeah.
itchy is like wanting to get away from your job.
Probably, that makes sense. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Oh, that's so cool. I loved
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah. So those are some, I just thought, when I saw the title of your group, I'm like, wow, I can come in, and if there's anyone who's got, medical issues going on, I can give a perspective, and just see what someone has, going on within them. But just a really good way to read the body.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I love doing this here with you today, and
Yeah.
so,
Thank you. We got to
if
figure
people
out how we
wanna
can go
give
live in Facebook. I'm not really sure how to do that, but
it's
um,
just as good, it's just as good, but tell if anybody's interested in, in connecting with you, like, how do they do that?
well, thank you. So, oasisofhealingspa.com is my website. I'm on Instagram more. I'm learning to come back into Facebook, but Instagram is really where I play, which is Oasis of Healing Spa as well. And my website, there's a chat window, so someone can leave a message there. And yeah, my main thing really is like, why are you here? So it's looking at, I love doing birth charts because I see so much of trauma in the birth chart and why you've come here to go through certain things. It helps to make it a little bit lighter, try to take some of that heaviness off of like, can we be playful around this and come to curiosity instead of like, why am I being rejected again? Can we look at, why does this happen? Right? Just it's a lighter way, I guess, of looking at things. I think we've done so much healing that if we can flip into more self discovery, then things do become lighter. And yeah, so that would be the place to reach me. And it's all about like shift and lift. How do we shift the heavies or shift the shit and then lift you to your next higher level of conscious awareness? Or if you don't love your job, like what it can look like to move into something that feels really good and fulfilling. So I guess I'm a little bit of a mixed bag in the sense of, being able to help listen to the body for you or teach you how to do your own, why you're here, and then some business opportunities. I'm building an app right now called Oasis of Healing. And once it's up and running, I'll definitely put your information in there so that people can find you, just another avenue for
Oh,
them to find you.
yeah.
And training on, I feel, we can help people with emotional regulation tools
Mm.
and learning how to read their body, right? We're really good teachers. We've been taught how to do that. And so
Yeah.
if anyone's watching going like, oh my gosh, my life, I would like another change, then, reach out to me and have it's called Own Your Lane, but I'm willing to offer something special for your group just because I feel,
Oh, yeah.
we have come from such a place of not really being told that we can do things or have these bigger dreams for ourselves. And you and I are both here saying, let's blow that up. That's not
It's
true. Let's
wrong. Yeah.
dream big. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and just seeing like you can go from here to there.
Yeah.
And being your own first client, like I am my own first client, has been
Yeah.
so amazing. And
Right.
like just seeing the transformations in the clients that I do have, it's like, wow, it's so cool. So I think my group knows if they want to get a hold of me.
Can you
Um,
share just in case? Because I'm going to share this on
yeah.
my profile, like my
Oh, okay.
social as well.
We'll go everywhere. Yeah, you can go to my website. It's Elle Reno Coaching, so ELLE renocoaching.com. And I actually have something new that I put on my website where
Oh,
people
good.
can go in and they can schedule their own connection call. And that's actually how you and I got connected, because what I want is for coaching to be available for everybody and for a
Well,
lot of people to experience it. And so you and I, we mostly just talked. Like if somebody wants to just call me and you want to talk, like let's talk. Or I can actually coach you if that's what you want too. So
neat.
that's what I offer to the ex Jehovah's Witness community only. And then the other thing is that every month in my group, I do a free group coaching call. So everybody can get on there and we can talk about all the things. And
Well,
even if the person doesn't want to be coached and they just kind of want to see, like, what's this all about? You're going to get something out of it. There's always something that you can take away. So
right on.
that's what I'm doing. And then, yeah, working with one-on-one clients. Free consultations if somebody wants that. It's all on my website, but
Well,
yeah, that's what
good.
it's you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the chat. It's been really nice getting to know you and just love what you have created. I think it's amazing.
Oh, I love what you're creating
Yeah,
too.
thanks.
Yeah, and I think the more that we can support each other as healers,
Hmm.
we all have something to offer. And maybe if the person's out there right now and they're like, I don't know if this is for me, maybe if you could just think, maybe it's not for me right now, or you could think, maybe there's a possibility one of these things could work for me. Like be open to the possibility of
Love it.
really your life really changing. Get
Hmm.
excited. It's exciting. Like I can't believe that, even you going from that place of like, I don't think I want to go on with this life anymore. I felt the same way. I was like, I don't think this life thing is for me, you
Yeah.
know? And no, there's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why we survived that. We're here to tell people there is hope and that you do
Hmm.
have the power. And sometimes you just need somebody on the outside to kind of see it a little bit
Yeah.
differently. And then it
Yeah.
might change your perspective into thinking, maybe I could change things.
Yeah. Organized religion is crumbling. Like people are going to need some kind of support, right? Where they can figure out how do I, what we, I feel, have believed in, and as far as organized religion, we're going to realize how much we've been lied to. And then it's like, now what do I do? I had this community, or I had this place, that I felt I belonged, or I had faith in. And it's like you can still hold that and find new communities that feel much better to you, or just are in more resonance, basically. But that, God is God. You can still believe in a higher power and God. And I just, thought to share for anyone who is having a little bit of a hard time, is like, go sit against a tree. And
Mm,
if you, or look up mycelium, which is really good. There's a good documentary on mycelium, which is like mushrooms, but
oh,
underneath the grass, there's a mycelium network. And that's basically what we are too, I feel, is we're finding each other. And I just see it like a
absolutely.
grid, like a green
Yes.
grid, and that mycelium, they speak to each other, and it's the sentience of the earth that's here. But even the trees, they speak to each other when one needs nutrients or water, and they will give to the other tree. We are very much similar to that, of our, we're finding each other, and those, we can lean on, or say, you know what, I need some support now, or hey, I know that step, I can help you through that step. And that's how we're going to grow and move forward through this. But what is really exciting is that the world is changing to what we want to have, right? Not based on what we were told by anyone else, regardless, and moving out of the blame stage to what can I own? How can I move forward? And so, yeah, and just it's neat that our communities are, that we're connecting, that you and I found each other, which is really awesome. And so I feel, just hope for people that this life isn't just a crappy thing where bad things happen. It's like,
Yes.
no, we
Yeah.
have the opportunity to really change some things around so that we know what joy and peace and fulfillment feels like in our bodies, instead of the opposite that we know all too well.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is that if
Yeah,
people, the group, we didn't mention that, it's called I Just Want to Heal and Move On. So
on
that's
Facebook. Yes.
on Facebook.
Good.
And then I'm on Instagram as well, but mostly on Facebook because of the group where I
Perfect.
post daily, and I'm just all in it.
Yeah. They're your babies.
I'm I'm very
Yeah.
protective little mama bear. I'm
It's a
like,
very nurturing
"Ah."
space. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just love
So good.
people. I can't help it. I just have this, that's just who I am, you know?
Right
So
on.
it's nice to have people recognize that and to be accepted for that, like,
Yeah.
okay, that's just how she is.
Right?
It feels good to
Yeah.
be herself.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
Oh,
thank you so much. And yeah, who knows? We'll pop up another time perhaps. And
know it,
uh,
girl. And yeah, with the healing work you're doing, I definitely want to be updated on what's happening. Yeah.
cool. Yeah, good. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you. Let me just stop the recording here. And if
Okay.
you watched all the way to the end, we both thank you for spending your time. Yeah.
Congratulations. Yay.
And if no one told you today, you are loved.
You are loved and you are so worthy.
Uh,
Oh, and I can't wait for you to find your gift and to really make your contribution to the world. How cool. I think that's our whole purpose here, is to evolve. So if
super.
you're evolving, awesome. So excited.
Awesome. Okay. Take care.
Okay, bye, Christine.